So I hate to be the one to tell you this, but you've been lied to about what makes a bedroom look good, because all those Pinterest perfect trends might look luxurious, but they're quietly making your bedroom a lot less relaxing than it should be. So in this video, you'll learn the 6 items you probably have in your bedroom that you need to get rid of, and by the end, you'll know exactly how to achieve a less cluttered, more luxurious bedroom than anyone else you know. So number 1 on the list here is having too many throw pillows. I mean, throw pillows always photograph well, and they give off that styled, cozy kind of vibe. But in reality, piling on too many of them just makes your bed impractical, and you'll spend more time moving them around than you do actually enjoying them. Plus, they collect a ton of dust and just normally end up on the floor, which makes your space feel cluttered. So let's look at a few examples. Here, this arrangement kind of looks chic at first glance, but in real life, it's just way more pillows than what's comfortable for a bed, right? What will be better is just a few carefully chosen pillows that still look stylish but don't feel overwhelming. Because when you edit this down, the bed will look way more intentional, and it's also a lot easier to maintain. Now here, in my view, this is just pillow overload, right? Too many colors, too many patterns, and all these chunky textures that are all competing for your attention. And so instead of feeling luxurious, it just gives off this messy, high maintenance feel that doesn't invite you to relax. But if they just simplified things here, then it would make the space look so much more calm and more cohesive. And then here, even with this polished hotel style setup, the extra pillows are still spilling onto this bench. And so it makes the room feel staged for a photo shoot rather than designed for everyday living. So cutting the number of pillows in half would still maintain that hotel vibe, but also make this room a lot more livable. But with all that said, having too many throw pillows is far from the biggest problem in most people's bedrooms, because there's another trend that not only looks harsh, but it can actually mess with your sleep. I'm talking about number 2 on the list here, which is LED and neon lighting. So all these color changing LEDs and neon lights have become really popular on TikTok, but they aren't actually that good for your bedroom. Because having harsh, bright tones, especially, cool blues and neon pinks, can interfere with your sleep by disrupting your body's natural rhythms. Plus, they also date your room really quickly and make it look like a temporary setup instead of a restful sanctuary. So here in this bedroom, this pink glow, I guess, could look fun and vibrant, but it also just overwhelms the space and makes the bedroom feel more like a nightclub than a calm retreat. It's kind of eye-catching in pictures, but it's tiring to live with every night. And long-term, this kind of lighting makes it hard to unwind. Now, in this bedroom, and this is different from the first one, even though they both got these kind of hanging leaf things going on. I don't really know what's going on there, but anyway, it's got the crisp white LED strips that are lining the ceiling, and it does look clean at first, but the light is way too harsh and cold for a bedroom, right? So just having a single soft lamp would make the space so much more inviting and feel so much better when you're going to sleep. And then here, okay, you've got a neon star. Maybe this is okay for like a young girl's bedroom or something. It's supposed to add some trendy flair, but instead of being timeless, it just feels kitschy and overly themed. But really, guys, you just want to keep it simple here. Like a warm lamp on the wall or on your bedside table will bring so much more personality without sacrificing your comfort. But to be honest, lighting isn't the only thing disturbing your peace, because one of the most popular trends recently comes from the farmhouse design, and it might be the reason that you're not getting any privacy. So let's talk about number 3, which is barn doors. So barn doors became super popular for their rustic charm and their space-saving ability to slide back and forth. And the main reason for that is that they don't seal properly, which means that sound, light, and even smells can easily pass through. And so over time, they end up being more decorative than they are functional. So here in this room, this big bright yellow barn door looks playful, and some would say stylish, not me, but it completely defeats any sense of privacy because it connects directly to the living room, and especially with this living room where there's a lot of hard surfaces, which means that all the sound is going to be bouncing around this room and straight into the bedroom, which means it's not going to be restful at all in there. And then here we've got kind of a custom pattern barn door that feels pretty unique, but since it faces the hallway, almost certainly one of those other doors that we see is a bathroom, which means that all the sounds from the bathroom and any smells from the bathroom are going to be just wafting straight into the bedroom, which I don't know about you, but that's not exactly what gives me a good night's sleep. So if I've got a word of advice, just leave the barn doors for the barn, okay? You don't need them in your home. Yes, they save some space. They don't have to open up and, open up like that, but definitely don't use them as your bedroom door. And there are very few places in the home where a barn door actually does work effectively because, let's face it, if you have a door somewhere, the whole reason is to block sound and light and smells, right? So why would you settle for a door that doesn't do that? Anyway, while barn doors let in way too much, the next trend actually traps everything, including dust, dirt, and allergens right where you sleep. And that's number 4 on our list, which is shag rugs and heavy drapery. So shag and high pile rugs bring texture and a cozy vibe, but they're just impractical in bedrooms. They capture everything that's in the air, so that's dust, dirt, and any allergens, and they trap them deep in their fibers, which makes them really hard to clean. And so while they can look plush and nice in photos, they're actually pretty hard to maintain, and they don't bring nearly as much comfort as you'd expect. Take this as an example. We've got a soft, thick rug that looks pretty inviting underfoot, but keeping it spotless in your bedroom is almost impossible without vacuuming constantly, because over time, it just becomes a magnet for dust and stains. Now, this rug here actually blends in pretty well with the surrounding decor, but if you've got any kind of pet, you can be certain that this thing is just going to be a pet hair magnet. So you can achieve the same sort of warmth with a low pile rug with way less upkeep. And then this black and white shag rug is designed to bring a bit of drama to the space, right? But the contrast makes dirt and lint just stand out even faster. And so instead of elevating the design of the room, it just looks messy between cleanings. But if you think maintenance is bad here with rugs, then wait until we get to the next trend that doesn't just add clutter, it actually turns your bedroom into a bit of a theme park. And I'm talking specifically about themed decor. So you might see themed bedrooms trending on Pinterest or TikTok, but they age very poorly and they just feel overwhelming to be in. A lot of them have loud patterns, or some people are going for a fairy tale look. I don't know what that's about, but they're just sacrificing comfort for what some people believe is style. But they completely miss the broader point, which is that your bedroom should be a place of rest. And having such a heavy theme usually makes those rooms feel staged rather than a place where you can actually live. And this is exactly what I'm talking about here. The dopamine decor is just dominating this space with these bright neon colors, the clashing patterns, and these, awful statement walls. Like, they look kind of fun in these photos, but being overstimulated in this way just makes it so hard to unwind. And so editing down these colors would keep these spaces bold without them feeling so chaotic. Now here, this is obviously very different. This is more of a cottagecore setup with ruffles, the fairy lights and the hanging plants. So it feels kind of dreamy at first, but all this excess fabric, lights, and decor just creates dust traps and a ton of visual clutter. And so instead, having just a few rustic accents would achieve the same kind of vibe, but in a much calmer and more deliberate way. And then this bedroom is leaning into the industrial look with what appears to be fake raw concrete and some exposed finishes. And so this can look good in loft apartments, but it also makes your bedroom feel cold and echoey instead of intimate. So in a space like this, you want to balance it with warmer materials that make it more livable. But now, how about a trend that looks like pure luxury on Pinterest, but ends up suffocating your entire bedroom? And I'm talking about number 6 on our list, which is oversized headboards. So these massive headboards have become popular because they bring a sort of luxury hotel feel to your bedroom, but in reality, they're just not very practical because they take up a huge amount of wall space, they make small rooms feel even more cramped, and they're usually more expensive than they're worth. And so instead of adding any sort of true function, they often just serve as a kind of decorative bulk that overwhelms the rest of your bedroom. So this wooden headboard here looks bold and eye-catching, but because it's so massive, it overpowers the wall and throws off the balance of the entire room. And so if they just went with a simpler wooden frame, it would still add warmth, but it wouldn't dominate the space. Now here we've got a bit of a different style with this padded wall of fabric squares that doesn't look that awful, to be honest. But the downside is that upholstered designs are really high maintenance because they easily collect dust and they get stained over time. And so they do add style, but there's not much comfort beyond what a standard headboard provides. And then again here, this upholstered headboard that goes all the way to the ceiling, they're going for this hotel-inspired vibe, right? But the sheer size makes the room feel tighter and overshadows the other design elements. So instead, I'd say it makes a lot more sense to go with a slimmer, more streamlined option that would give the same kind of luxury feel, but in a smarter way. So hopefully by now you can see what happens when you throw out all those popular bedroom trends. Your space suddenly feels lighter, calmer, and just so much better. And I've linked to a few videos in the description that dive deeper into how to get that same sense of balance in other parts of your home. But here's the thing, once you strip all that excess away, you start to notice something deeper, which is that there's a rhythm that drives every beautiful space. This kind of quiet order that can make even the simplest of rooms feel expensive and high-end. So if you want to understand how to create that luxe feeling on purpose and make your home feel like a high-end hotel, you're going to want to watch this video next. I'll see you there.